have sitting here with me the one and only Robert Miranda, singer, songwriter, and guitarist. How are you, sir?
Pleasure meeting you.
Good to see you. Welcome to Los Angeles. So, originally you're from the DC area, or you live back there now, and as we were talking before, back there between DC and upstate New York.
Right.
So, tell me, being close to, the political atmosphere, is that kind of what influenced your song, Heart of Our Democracy?
Yeah, so when you're in DC, you're immersed in our local politics is the national politics. I also spent some time working with the government in a lot of ways, and for a very short time I was actually a lobbyist trying to protect some technology, so I understand how it works. But having the swirl that started with this new administration came in, and the injustices I saw, it just when I get wound up, I write. And really, the line came from, I was watching, I think it was a PBS show where a gentleman said, this administration is going to tear the heart out of our democracy. So I scribbled it in my notebook, my thousands of notebooks, and the funny thing, it was about 1 in the morning, I was in my studio working on another song, and I kept staring at the words, Heart of Our Democracy, Heart of Our Democracy. I said, okay, I'm going to try this. And I wrote the song, and mostly in total in about an hour. It just poured out.
Really, just an hour?
Yeah, I tweaked the lyrics a little bit, over time, but the core of the song was written in about an hour.
Yeah. It sounds so different between, some of today's music and what some younger artists, maybe some hip hop artists are doing. And not to sound condescending to them, but it just sounds so remarkable that you made such a powerful message in just an hour.
Well, I think it was stewing for many months, right? So it kind of came out like a rush. And I think what makes my music a little bit different, it's sort of an amalgamation of alternative, rock, folk. So it's, I've been told by a lot of people in the industry, you kind of have your own sound. And when you put that together, so for me, I think the pen is mightier than the sword. When you put it to music, it's unstoppable.
Right. So, how do you feel about addressing social justice using music, and what made you to decide to go that route in the first place?
Well, if you look at the movements over the years, being from the 60s and beyond, even civil rights and the anti-war movement, there was a lot of music, and music actually moved those movements. My anger and frustration over some things poured out. I will say my wife's a great influence. My wife is a very liberal person, loves folk music, really? And she kind of pushed me in that direction. But once it tipped, I kind of went full bore.
Okay, very interesting. What does your wife do?
My wife is an executive in a large corporation, travels all over the world.
Okay, so you get to travel with her?
Yeah, we do. But right. she goes to a lot of different cultures, so she has a world view.
Oh, okay, cool. So given that world view, I guess you've gotten to see and soak up a lot of different things from different places. Tell me what's one of the most interesting places you've traveled to?
Probably the West Bank. Really? In Israel, yeah. And guess what? When you're there talking to one of the Arab jeweler I was buying jewelry from, just like everybody else, everybody wants food, peace, and have a family. Human beings are human beings. It's the politicians that make the mess.
So, Robert, you've been a musician for many years, and I'm assuming probably growing up you played in bands and stuff. How old were you? Do you remember when you picked up your first instrument? And then at what point did you say, I'm going to start taking this seriously? Yeah,
so I started playing guitar when I was 7. And when I took lessons, and I had an uncle to start teaching me, then I had a good teacher. But then when I was 12, my uncle took me to see the flamenco player, Carlos Montoya. And I'm like, oh yeah, I'm going to play guitar. Well, obviously I don't play flamenco, but I got very serious. And basically, I played 24 hours a day. My mother used to yell at me, I played so much. And I did actually put myself through school playing the guitar. I got a degree in electrical engineering and left town, but I kept studying it in the background. So I've studied theory with Lawrence Hoffman at Peabody Conservatory. I've studied with Sanjay Mishra, who's an amazing artist. And then the solo thing really happened with me sitting in my basement, trying to write these songs, venting my frustrations, and I met Nate Jolly, and he drugged me into a studio.
That is something else. I love it. The sequence of events is really what hits me.
Thank you.
Yeah. So going back to the politics and how it relates to the music, have you gotten a chance to perform for any politicians or lobbyists?
Not directly, but indirectly. I've played the National Mall twice, so it's kind of funny. I'm the guy that most people don't know. When the Pope was there in 15, they had a rally for the Pope. It was the climate rally with Pope Francis, so I played that national stage. And then recently this year, I played April 4th, the rally against racism, which was in honor of Martin Luther King's 50th anniversary of his assassination. So I think there were probably some politicians out there.
Right. How did that feel, the rally against racism?
That was amazing, and I have to tell you, that mall should have been packed with millions of people. I mean, there were a lot of people there, don't get me wrong, but I just felt so good. And it was, I gotta tell you, when I perform, I always get a little stressed out, but it was the one time I was so into what I was doing. Of course, I had a 20-person choir behind me. It just felt natural, and it just felt one of the best things I've ever done in music. I felt just really great about it.
Right. And when you play like in front of a big audience like that, are you leading? Like you said, you had the choir behind you, but what other musicians are on stage at the time?
Yeah, so that was interesting. So they had a full band. Ironically, several of the guys I played with before, we kind of knew each other. We practiced the night before in a church for 3 or 4 go-rounds, and they said, okay, let's do it. So the main leader follows me, and then the band follows him, but the guys are so good, it just falls in place.
Very cool.
Right.
What do you have to come for the rest of 2018 and then for the future?
Well, we have the midterms coming, so I have a few more songs and surprises coming out. We're planning to maybe release something that will be addressing the current songs I have and maybe a couple new ones bundled together for the midterms.
All right. Have you ever written for anyone else?
No, I have not. I've had people ask me to do it. I haven't done it yet, and I wonder if I can. I don't know. I write in a very strange way, so maybe it would work, maybe it would.
Right. I mean, I feel like it's so unique, to talk about the politics and the social justice and whatnot, but like a folk music format.
Right.
The only thing like close to it is like I know some rappers that do political stuff. Like
Sure.
I don't know if you ever heard of
Yeah.
Immortal Technique.
Yeah, I know some of the guys. I mean, I've heard of some of the guys.
Yeah. So it's definitely out there, but I think there needs to be more of it, and I think what you're doing is a great step in the right direction.
Well, thank you. I really enjoy what I'm doing. I write other songs, but this is a very troubling time. So, the phrase "truth to power." I believe my instrument is one of the voices of truth to power, and we need to realign things and get back on track.
Truth to power, all right. Robert, before we get out of here, is there anybody you want to thank or any shout-outs you want to give?
Oh, yeah. Well, I obviously have to thank Nate Jolly for bringing me in the studio, his brother Noble, all the guys in D.C., the musicians I'm now playing with up in New York, and my wife, who is my rock.
Excellent. All right, you heard it first, everybody. This was Robert Miranda, Palm. You're out.
Oh, this heart